The boardroom on the 42nd floor was silent except for the soft rustle of papers and the occasional clearing of a throat. Amina Kinte sat at the head of the polished mahogany table, her posture steady, her eyes sharp and unwavering. Around her, the faces of the board members were a mix of cold calculation and forced politeness. The air was thick with tension, but Amina's focus never wavered. Victor Langston, a longtime member of the board and a Wall Street insider, leaned forward, his voice smooth but edged with steel. "Amina, your vision has brought growth to Unity Trust, but the board has serious concerns about your recent decisions." Amina met his gaze without flinching. "I'm listening." Victor's words cut deeper than the polite tone suggested. "The investments in community programs and technology upgrades have strained our capital reserves. Shareholders are worried about returns. We need a more cautious approach." Amina's voice was calm but firm. "These investments are not expenses. They are the foundation of our future. The data shows increased customer loyalty and expansion into new markets." A murmur passed through the room. Victor's allies exchanged looks. The atmosphere shifted. This was no longer a discussion, it was a challenge. Victor's next words were deliberate. "With respect, the board must prioritize financial stability. We cannot allow idealism to risk the bank's future." Amina's eyes flashed with quiet fire. "Idealism is what built this bank. Without it, Unity Trust is just another faceless institution." The meeting stretched on, voices rising and falling, accusations thinly veiled beneath corporate language. Amina presented facts, figures, and testimonials from community leaders. But the boardroom was a battlefield, and politics often outweighed truth. When the vote was called, the room fell into a heavy silence. 7 members voted to remove Amina as CEO. 5 stood with her. Security personnel entered. Amina rose, her expression unreadable. Victor offered a thin smile. "Thank you for your service, Amina. We wish you well." Her voice was steady, carrying the weight of more than just a job lost. Unity Trust Bank belongs to the people it serves. This isn't over. As she was escorted out, whispers followed her like shadows. Outside, reporters waited, sensing a story far bigger than a corporate shakeup. Have you ever been pushed out unfairly, only to find the strength to fight back? What would you do if the very people you trusted to build your dream turned against you? Amina's story is not just about betrayal. It's about resilience, courage, and the refusal to be silenced. 5 minutes after being forced out, Amina was already making her move. Her phone buzzed, a secure message from her trusted COO, Jamal Rivers, "Ready when you are." She had anticipated this moment. Months before, when whispers of dissent reached her ears, she quietly built a network of allies within the bank's leadership and security teams. Her biometric access codes were up to date, and a secure communication line was established. Without hesitation, she moved toward the private service entrance reserved for executives and trusted personnel. The security guard, Tasha Monroe, nodded discreetly as Amina approached. "It's time," Amina said quietly. The door unlocked. She slipped inside, heart pounding but mind razor-sharp. Within minutes, the bank's headquarters was under her control. Her voice echoed through the bank's internal communication system and social media. Unity Trust Bank belongs to the people it serves, not to those who seek to silence progress. I am here to stay. The message spread like wildfire. Support poured in from customers, community leaders, and activists. This is a story of a Black billionaire CEO betrayed and kicked out of her own bank, only to seize control again in a matter of minutes. If you want to hear the full story of courage, justice, and the fight for what's right, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join the conversation in the comments below. The streets of Harlem carried the sounds of everyday life. Children laughing, neighbors greeting one another, and the distant hum of city traffic. Inside a modest brownstone on 125th Street, a young girl named Amina Kinte sat at the kitchen table, her brow furrowed in concentration. She was just 12 years old, but already her mind was racing with questions far beyond her years. Amina's mother, Lina Kinte, stood nearby, watching her daughter with a mixture of pride and concern. "Amina, it's getting late. You should rest," she said softly. "I'm almost finished, Mama," Amina replied, her eyes bright with determination. "I'm trying to understand how banks work." Lina smiled, her heart swelling with hope. "You've always been curious. Remember, knowledge is power. But don't forget to take care of yourself, too." Amina nodded, but her thoughts were elsewhere. She dreamed of a world where people like her family, hardworking, proud, but often overlooked, could build wealth and security without barriers. Her curiosity was not just a passing phase. It was the beginning of a mission that would shape her entire life. At Howard University, Amina quickly made a name for herself. Known for her sharp intellect and unwavering focus, she excelled in her finance courses. Late nights in the library became routine as she pored over textbooks and case studies, determined to master every detail. Her professors noticed her potential, and she soon became a leader among her peers. But even in this supportive environment, Amina encountered challenges that tested her resolve. During a guest lecture by a prominent Wall Street executive, Amina raised her hand. "Why do so many banks still deny loans to Black entrepreneurs, even when they have solid business plans?" she asked. The room fell silent. The executive hesitated before answering. "It's a complex issue involving risk assessment and market dynamics." Amina wasn't satisfied. "It's systemic bias, and it's holding back entire communities." Her words sparked quiet conversations that followed her into her career. After graduating with honors, Amina earned a coveted spot at Harvard Business School. There, she was one of only a handful of Black women in her class. The experience was both exhilarating and isolating. In study groups and networking events, she often found herself the only person of color. Her ideas were sometimes overlooked until echoed by others. She faced subtle microaggressions and outright skepticism about her capabilities. One evening, after a grueling day of classes, Amina sat with her mentor, Professor Marcus Ellison, a seasoned economist and advocate for diversity in finance. "You have the talent and the vision, Amina," he said. "But the road ahead will be tough. The industry isn't built for people like us." "I know," she replied. "That's why I'm going to change it." Her determination only grew stronger. After Harvard, Amina joined a major investment bank. She quickly rose through the ranks, impressing colleagues with her strategic thinking and leadership. But the harsh realities of systemic racism and sexism were impossible to ignore. In meetings, her ideas were often dismissed or ignored until repeated by others. She faced skepticism about her capabilities and subtle attempts to undermine her authority. One day, after a particularly frustrating board meeting, Amina confided in a trusted colleague, Derek Shaw. "They don't see me as a leader," she said quietly. "They see me as a token." Derek nodded. "You're not alone, but you have something they don't vision. Maybe it's time to build your own path." Inspired by this advice, Amina began laying the groundwork for her own venture. She reached out to community leaders, potential investors, and mentors. With a modest loan from a family friend and a small group of believers, she founded Unity Trust Bank in 2010. The bank's mission was revolutionary: to serve Black communities with fairness, transparency, and empowerment. Amina believed that financial literacy and access to capital were the keys to closing the racial wealth gap. The first branch opened in a renovated storefront in Harlem. The walls were adorned with murals celebrating Black history and culture. The staff was diverse and passionate. Amina personally led community workshops on budgeting, credit building, and entrepreneurship. She listened to customers' stories and tailored services to meet their needs. Word spread quickly. Unity Trust Bank became a beacon of hope and progress. Her leadership style was inclusive and visionary. She invested heavily in technology and community programs, often facing skepticism from traditional bankers who saw these as risky expenditures. But the results spoke for themselves. Unity Trust's customer base grew exponentially, and its financial performance outpaced many competitors. Amina's journey was not just about business success. It was about breaking barriers and creating opportunities where few existed. Her story raises a question for you. Have you ever faced obstacles that seemed designed to hold you back? Have you ever been underestimated or pushed aside because of who you are? If so, share your experience in the comments below. Your voice matters, and your story could inspire others facing similar challenges. In 2010, Amina Kinte took a leap that many thought was too ambitious, even impossible. With a modest loan from a family friend and the unwavering support of a small group of believers, she founded Unity Trust Bank. This was not just a financial institution. It was a bold statement, a challenge to an industry that had long ignored the needs of Black communities. The bank's mission was revolutionary: to serve Black communities with fairness, transparency, and empowerment. Amina believed that financial literacy and access to capital were the keys to closing the racial wealth gap that had persisted for generations. She envisioned a bank that didn't just handle money, but built wealth and opportunity where it was desperately needed. The first branch opened in a renovated storefront in Harlem. The building itself was modest, but inside, it was alive with energy and purpose. Walls were adorned with murals celebrating Black history and culture, a daily reminder to customers and staff alike that this bank was built for them, by someone who understood their struggles and dreams. Amina was not content to be a distant CEO. She was hands-on, leading community workshops on budgeting, credit building, and entrepreneurship. She listened intently to customers' stories of struggle, resilience, and hope. She understood that banking was more than transactions. It was about trust and relationships. Word spread quickly. Unity Trust Bank became a beacon of hope in Harlem and beyond. People who had been denied loans or treated unfairly by other banks found a new home here. The bank's customer base grew steadily, fueled by trust and a shared vision of economic empowerment. Amina's leadership was marked by inclusivity and innovation. She invested heavily in technology to make banking accessible and convenient. Mobile banking apps were developed to reach customers who couldn't easily visit a branch. Community programs were launched to teach financial literacy and support local entrepreneurs. These efforts were not just business decisions, they were acts of service. Despite these successes, skepticism from traditional bankers was constant. Many saw Amina's approach as risky and idealistic. They questioned the heavy investments in community programs and technology upgrades, doubting whether such efforts could deliver financial returns. Some whispered that her vision was too soft for the cutthroat world of finance. But the results told a different story. Unity Trust Bank's financial performance outpaced many competitors. Customer retention rates soared, and new markets opened up. The bank was proving that a mission-driven approach could also be a profitable one. Amina's vision extended beyond numbers. She wanted to create a financial institution that reflected the values and needs of the community it served. This meant transparency in operations, fairness in lending, and a commitment to social justice. She believed that a bank could be both a business and a force for good. The bank's staff mirrored this vision. Diverse and passionate, they were more than employees. They were advocates for change. Many had personal connections to the community and shared Amina's commitment to empowerment. Their dedication was evident in every interaction with customers, creating an atmosphere of respect and care. As Unity Trust Bank expanded, branches opened in other neighborhoods, each one tailored to the unique needs of its community. The bank became a symbol of progress and possibility, inspiring others to rethink what banking could be. Amina's story is a reminder that change often begins with a single step fueled by courage and conviction. Unity Trust Bank was more than a business. It was a movement toward economic justice and inclusion. The impact of Unity Trust Bank went beyond financial statements. It sparked a renewed sense of pride and possibility in communities that had long been marginalized. Local entrepreneurs found the support they needed to grow their businesses. Families gained access to loans that helped them buy homes and build security. Young people learned the importance of financial literacy, setting them on a path to success. Amina's leadership style was inclusive and visionary. She believed in empowering others to lead, nurturing talent within the bank and the community. She launched mentorship programs and leadership development initiatives aimed at creating the next generation of Black financial leaders. The road was not without challenges. Regulatory hurdles, market pressures, and ongoing skepticism tested Amina and her team. But their resilience and commitment never wavered. Each obstacle was met with strategic thinking and a refusal to compromise on their mission. Unity Trust Bank's story is a testament to what can happen when vision meets determination. It shows that financial institutions can be agents of change, not just profit centers. It proves that serving underserved communities is not only right but smart business. If this story resonates with you, consider sharing this video with someone who needs to hear it. Together, we can spread the message of hope and empowerment. The morning light spilled into the sleek boardroom on the 42nd floor of Unity Trust Bank's headquarters, but the brightness did little to soften the tension that gripped the room. Amina Kinte sat at the head of the polished mahogany table, her posture calm and composed, but her eyes were sharp, alert to every movement and word. Around her, the board members shifted uneasily in their seats. Some faces were familiar allies, others cold and calculating, their expressions unreadable. Victor Langston, a long-standing board member and a figure well known in Wall Street circles, cleared his throat. His voice was smooth, but beneath it lay a steel edge that cut through the room's silence. "Amina, we appreciate the vision and growth you've brought to Unity Trust," he began, "but the board has serious concerns about your recent strategic decisions." Amina's gaze met his without hesitation. "I'm listening," she said, her voice steady. Victor continued, "The investments in community programs and technology upgrades, while noble in intent, have placed significant strain on our capital reserves. Shareholders are growing anxious about returns. We need a more conservative approach to protect the bank's financial health." Amina's response was calm but firm. "These investments are not expenses, they are long-term assets. The data shows increased customer retention and expansion into new markets. Our mission is to empower underserved communities, and that requires bold, forward-thinking action." A murmur rippled through the room. Victor's allies exchanged glances, their skepticism clear. The atmosphere shifted. This was no longer a discussion, it was a challenge. Victor leaned forward, his tone sharpening. "With all due respect, Amina, the board must prioritize fiduciary responsibility. Idealism cannot come at the cost of financial stability." Amina's eyes flashed with quiet fire. "Idealism is what built this bank. Without it, Unity Trust is just another faceless institution." The meeting grew heated. Voices rose and fell, accusations veiled in corporate jargon. Amina presented facts, figures, and testimonials from community leaders and customers. But the boardroom was a place where politics often overshadowed truth. Victor's faction painted Amina's leadership as reckless and out of touch with shareholder interests. They argued that her vision, while inspiring, was financially unsustainable. The tension in the room thickened as the debate intensified. Amina countered with unwavering resolve. She spoke of the bank's growth, the lives changed, and the communities uplifted. She reminded the board that Unity Trust was more than a business, it was a movement toward economic justice. But the boardroom was a battlefield, and politics often trumped truth. As the discussion dragged on, the stakes became painfully clear. This was not just a disagreement over strategy, it was a fight for the soul of the bank and the future of Black leadership in finance. When the vote was called, the room fell into a heavy silence. 7 members voted to remove Amina as CEO. 5 stood with her. Security personnel entered the room. Amina rose, her expression unreadable. Victor offered a thin smile. "Thank you for your service, Amina. We wish you well." Her voice was steady, carrying the weight of more than just a job lost. Unity Trust Bank belongs to the people it serves. This isn't over. As she was escorted out, whispers followed her like shadows. Outside, reporters waited, sensing a story far bigger than a corporate shakeup. The betrayal cut deep. Amina had poured her heart and soul into building Unity Trust Bank from the ground up. To be cast aside by those she once trusted was a blow not just to her career but to the community she represented. The stakes were high. Black leadership in finance was rare, and Unity Trust was a symbol of progress and possibility. Losing her position threatened to undo years of hard work and set back the cause of economic empowerment. Yet, even in this moment of defeat, Amina's resolve remained unbroken. She understood that this was not the end but a new beginning. The boardroom coup was a stark reminder of the challenges faced by Black leaders and industries resistant to change. It exposed the fragility of progress and the lengths to which entrenched interests would go to maintain control. But it also ignited a fire within Amina and her supporters. The fight for Unity Trust was far from over. Outside the building, the city buzzed with anticipation. News of the boardroom battle spread quickly, sparking conversations in homes, workplaces, and community centers. Social media lit up with support for Amina, many expressing outrage at the betrayal. Inside the bank, employees gathered in small groups, whispering about the unfolding drama. Some wore buttons with Amina's face, others exchanged worried glances, uncertain about what the future held. In the quiet moments after the meeting, Amina's trusted COO, Jamal Rivers, approached her. No words were needed. Their shared determination spoke volumes. This moment raises a question for you. What do you think about corporate politics and betrayal? Have you witnessed or experienced similar struggles in your own life or community? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice is part of this story. The cold steel doors of Unity Trust Bank's headquarters slid shut behind Amina Kinte as security personnel escorted her out. The bustling lobby, once a place of warmth and community, now felt like a cage closing in. Cameras flashed, reporters shouted questions, but Amina's mind was elsewhere, focused, unshaken. She glanced at her watch. 5 minutes. That was all the time she had before Victor Langston and his faction tried to lock her out completely. Her phone buzzed in her hand. A secure message from Jamal Rivers, her trusted COO, "Ready when you are." Amina's lips curled into a determined smile. She had anticipated this moment. Months ago, when whispers of dissent first reached her ears, she had quietly built a network of allies within the bank's leadership and security teams. She had ensured that her biometric access codes were up to date and that a secure communication line was established. Without hesitation, she moved swiftly toward the private service entrance reserved for executives and trusted personnel. The security guard stationed there, a young woman named Tasha Monroe, nodded discreetly as Amina approached. "It's time," Amina said quietly. Tasha tapped a few keys, and the door unlocked. Amina slipped inside, heart pounding but mind razor-sharp. Inside, the atmosphere was tense but controlled. Jamal and a small group of loyal executives awaited her, their faces a mix of resolve and relief. "We've secured the security control room," Jamal reported. "Cameras, locks, communications, all under our control." Amina nodded. "Good. Let's move." Together, they navigated the corridors, rallying employees who had remained loyal. Word spread quickly. Amina was back. Within minutes, the bank's headquarters was effectively under her control. The main entrances were locked down remotely, preventing unauthorized personnel from entering or leaving. Amina took to the bank's internal communication system and then to social media, broadcasting a live message. Her voice was steady, filled with conviction. "Unity Trust Bank belongs to the people it serves. not to those who seek to silence progress. I am here to stay. This bank was built on the dreams and hard work of our community, and I will fight to protect it. The message went viral within minutes, sparking an outpouring of support from customers, community leaders, and activists. Outside, Victor Langston's phone buzzed incessantly. Calls from lawyers, investors, and board members flooded in. The carefully planned coup was unraveling faster than he had anticipated. Inside the building, Amina's team worked tirelessly to maintain operations. Customer service lines remained open, transactions processed smoothly, and the bank's digital platforms stayed online. The battle for Unity Trust had entered a new phase, one of resilience, strategy, and unyielding determination. The city outside the towering glass walls of Unity Trust Bank's headquarters buzzed with anticipation. News of Amina Kinte's bold return had ignited a firestorm across social media, news outlets, and the financial world. The hashtag #StandWithAmina trended nationwide, rallying support from communities far beyond Harlem. Inside the bank, the atmosphere was electric yet tense. Employees gathered in small groups, whispering about the unfolding drama. Some wore buttons with Amina's face. Others exchanged worried glances, uncertain about what the future held. In the command center, a converted conference room filled with monitors and communication equipment, Amina and her closest allies coordinated their efforts. Jamal Rivers, eyes scanning the data streams, reported, "Customer transactions are stable. No disruptions so far. The security team is holding the perimeter." Amina nodded. "Good. We can't afford any slip-ups. This is more than a power struggle. It's a fight for the soul of this bank." Meanwhile, Victor Langston convened an emergency meeting with his faction of the board. The mood was grim. "We need to regain control," Victor said, his voice tight. "Call the police, get legal injunctions. Do whatever it takes." One board member, Margaret Ellis, a veteran investor with a reputation for pragmatism, raised a hand. "Victor, this is playing out in the court of public opinion as much as in the boardroom. If we move too aggressively, we risk alienating shareholders and customers." Victor's jaw clenched. "We don't have a choice. If we lose this bank, we lose everything." Back at Unity Trust, Amina reached out to community leaders and civil rights organizations. Within hours, statements of support poured in. Reverend Elijah Freeman, a respected Harlem pastor, spoke at a press conference. "Amina Kinte is not just a CEO. She is a beacon of hope for our community. This bank was built to serve us, and we stand with her." Customers flooded the bank's branches and digital platforms, opening new accounts and voicing their loyalty. The bank's stock, initially rattled, began to stabilize as investor confidence returned. Legal battles ensued. Victor's team filed injunctions to remove Amina, but her lawyers countered with evidence of procedural violations and conflicts of interest in the board's actions. The media coverage was relentless. Documentaries, opinion pieces, and interviews painted a complex picture of a visionary leader fighting entrenched power structures. Inside the bank, Amina held daily meetings with her leadership team, strategizing the next moves. "We need to show the world that Unity Trust is more than a bank. It's a movement," she said. "Our mission is our strength." Jamal smiled. "And our people are our greatest asset." The weeks following Amina Kinte's dramatic takeover of Unity Trust Bank's headquarters were a whirlwind of legal battles, media scrutiny, and fierce negotiations. The financial world watched closely as the fate of one of the most promising Black-owned banks hung in the balance. Inside the bank's war room, Amina and her team worked tirelessly. Every day brought new challenges: court hearings, shareholder meetings, and public relations campaigns. But with each obstacle, their resolve only grew stronger. Jamal Rivers, ever the strategist, laid out the plan. "We need to secure the support of our major shareholders. Many are on the fence, worried about instability. If we can show them the strength of our leadership and the bank's performance, we can turn the tide." Amina nodded. "Prepare the financial reports. highlight our growth, community impact, and technology investments. We'll meet with them personally if we have to. Meanwhile, Victor Langston's grip on the boardroom was slipping. Several members, uneasy with the public backlash and the mounting evidence against their actions, began to distance themselves. Margaret Ellis, once a staunch ally of Victor, called a private meeting with other board members. This isn't just about control anymore. It's about the bank's future and our reputations. We need to reconsider. Public opinion was overwhelmingly in Amina's favor. Social media campaigns, community rallies, and endorsements from influential leaders created a groundswell of support. At a packed town hall meeting, Amina addressed customers and community members. We built Unity Trust Bank to serve you, to empower you. This fight is not just mine, it's ours. Together, we will ensure that this institution remains a force for good. The crowd erupted in cheers. Investor meetings proved pivotal. Amina's team presented compelling data. Unity Trust's assets had grown by 25% in the past year. Loan default rates were below industry average, and customer satisfaction was at an all-time high. One influential shareholder, David Chin, stood up. I was skeptical at first, but the evidence is clear. Amina's leadership is driving real results. I'm voting to reinstate her. Others followed suit. The final showdown came at a special board meeting called to decide the bank's leadership. The room was packed with shareholders, media, and legal teams. Victor made a last-ditch effort to defend his position, but the momentum was against him. When the vote was tallied, the decision was unanimous. Amina Kinte was reinstated as CEO of Unity Trust Bank. Victor Langston resigned in disgrace, his ambitions thwarted. Amina's return marked a new chapter for Unity Trust Bank. She immediately set to work healing divisions and rebuilding trust. She launched initiatives to increase transparency, improve governance, and deepen community engagement. A leadership development program was established to nurture Black talent within the financial sector. Her story became a symbol of resilience and empowerment. Invitations to speak at global forums poured in, and her journey inspired countless entrepreneurs and activists. Today, Unity Trust Bank stands as a beacon of hope and progress. Under Amina Kinte's leadership, it continues to innovate and expand, proving that a bank built on principles of inclusion and empowerment can thrive. The dramatic takeover of Unity Trust Bank's headquarters marked only the beginning of a grueling battle that would test Amina Kinte's leadership, resilience, and vision. What followed was a whirlwind of legal challenges, media scrutiny, and high-stakes shareholder meetings that captured the attention of the financial world and communities far beyond Harlem. Within hours of Amina's bold return, Victor Langston and his faction launched a series of legal maneuvers aimed at removing her once again. Injunctions were filed, alleging procedural violations and questioning the legitimacy of her actions. The courtroom became a new battleground, where lawyers sparred over technicalities and corporate governance. But Amina's legal team was prepared. They countered with evidence of conflicts of interest among Victor's allies and procedural missteps in the board's vote to oust her. The case quickly gained traction, exposing cracks in the opposition's strategy. Meanwhile, the media frenzy intensified. News outlets, social media platforms, and financial analysts dissected every development. Documentaries and opinion pieces portrayed Amina as a visionary leader fighting entrenched power structures, while others questioned the stability of Unity Trust Bank amid the turmoil. Amid the chaos, Amina remained a steady force. She held daily meetings with her leadership team, strategizing the next moves and rallying support. Her message was clear. Unity Trust was more than a bank. It was a movement for economic justice and empowerment. Community leaders, customers, and activists rallied behind her. Statements of support poured in from civil rights organizations, local pastors, and influential figures who recognized the significance of this fight. The hashtag #StandWithAmina trended nationwide, amplifying the call for justice. One of the most pivotal moments came during a packed town hall meeting. Amina stood before a crowd of customers, employees, and community members, her voice filled with conviction. "We built Unity Trust Bank to serve you, to empower you. This fight is not just mine, it's ours. Together, we will ensure that this institution remains a force for good." The crowd erupted in cheers, their energy a powerful reminder of the stakes involved. Investor meetings proved equally critical. Many shareholders were wary, concerned about the bank's stability amid the ongoing conflict. Amina's team prepared detailed financial reports highlighting the bank's growth, community impact, and technological advancements. During one tense meeting, David Chin, an influential shareholder, stood up. "I was skeptical at first, but the evidence is clear. Amina's leadership is driving real results. I'm voting to reinstate her." Others followed his lead, shifting the balance of power. Victor Langston's influence began to wane. Several board members, uneasy with the public backlash and mounting evidence against their actions, started distancing themselves. Margaret Ellis, once a staunch ally of Victor, convened a private meeting with other members. "This isn't just about control anymore. It's about the bank's future and our reputations. We need to reconsider." The tension within the boardroom grew palpable as alliances shifted and loyalties were tested. Throughout this intense period, Amina experienced emotional highs and lows. The weight of the fight pressed heavily on her shoulders, but her resolve never faltered. She drew strength from the community's support and the knowledge that the battle was about more than just a bank. It was about breaking barriers and creating lasting change. Late nights were spent reviewing legal documents, preparing speeches, and meeting with allies. Moments of doubt were met with renewed determination. Every setback was a call to fight harder. Amina Kinte's reinstatement as CEO of Unity Trust Bank was more than a personal victory. It was a triumph for the community, a testament to resilience, and a beacon of hope for Black leadership in finance. The unanimous vote to bring her back marked the beginning of a new chapter, one focused on healing, rebuilding, and moving forward with renewed purpose. From the moment she returned to the helm, Amina set out to restore trust and unity within the bank. She understood that the wounds from the boardroom battle ran deep, and healing required transparency and accountability. One of her first actions was to launch initiatives aimed at increasing openness and governance. Regular town hall meetings were established, giving employees, customers, and shareholders a direct line to leadership. This openness fostered a culture of inclusion and collaboration, breaking down barriers that had previously kept voices unheard. Amina also prioritized strengthening the bank's governance structures. She introduced new policies to ensure ethical decision-making and prevent the kind of power struggles that had threatened the bank's stability. Independent oversight committees were formed, and diversity became a key criterion in board appointments. These changes sent a clear message. Unity Trust Bank was committed to fairness, integrity, and progress. But perhaps most importantly, Amina focused on nurturing Black talent within the financial sector. She launched leadership development programs designed to identify and cultivate the next generation of Black executives and entrepreneurs. Scholarships, mentorships, and internships were made available to young people from underserved communities, opening doors that had long been closed. Under Amina's guidance, Unity Trust Bank expanded its community programs, deepening its commitment to financial education and economic empowerment. Workshops on budgeting, credit building, and entrepreneurship reached thousands, equipping individuals with the tools to build wealth and security. The bank's technology platforms were enhanced to improve accessibility, ensuring that customers could manage their finances with ease and confidence. Amina's journey. From a curious girl in Harlem to a billionaire CEO fighting for justice, became a powerful symbol of what determination and vision can achieve. Her story resonated far beyond the walls of Unity Trust Bank, inspiring entrepreneurs, activists, and leaders across the country. She often spoke about leadership as more than a title or position. For Amina, true leadership was about character, courage, and the willingness to stand up for what is right, even when the odds are against you. Her fight was not just for herself, but for every person who had ever been underestimated, overlooked, or pushed aside. In speeches and interviews, Amina emphasized the importance of community and collective action. "We rise by lifting others," she would say. Her message was clear: progress is not a solo journey, but a shared endeavor. Today, Unity Trust Bank stands as a testament to the power of vision, resilience, and unwavering commitment to justice. It continues to innovate and grow, proving that a financial institution built on principles of inclusion and empowerment can thrive in a competitive industry. Amina's legacy is still being written, but her impact is undeniable. She has changed the narrative around Black leadership in finance, showing that success and social responsibility can go hand in hand. Her story challenges us all to rethink what leadership means and to recognize the strength found in courage and conviction. As you reflect on Amina's journey, consider what lessons you can take into your own life. How can you stand firm in your values? How can you support those fighting for justice and equality? If this story moved you, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories. And don't forget to leave a comment. Tell us what inspired you, or share your own experiences of resilience and leadership. Together, we can keep the conversation going and continue to amplify voices that matter.